Good evening, this is Kim, and I'm going to start talking about our first assignment, week 1. Let's start by going into D2L, going into the week 1 homework folder, and clicking on the week 1 homework assignment. So what this homework assignment says is that you need to complete the problems, these problems that are in the book, okay? And right now I understand that you may not have your book yet, so I've included a copy of these problems in your week 1 homework folder, and I'll show you that in just a minute. Secondly, the homework assignment says to complete the time value of money sample problems, also included in your weekly folder. And this is what I'm going to go over right now to help explain this to you so you understand how to work on this homework. So let's get started. I'm going to go out of here, and I'm going to note in here that the sample problems are right here. Here they are. But first of all, we're going to need a couple tools so I can show you how to do these. One is the Excel calculators located in your folder right here, and then a sample of notes, which I'll show you as I make this recording. So let's move on to the necessary documents. Pop out of here. And you'll note here I have the future value and present value calculators. And this is all related to time value of money. So right now I'm going to actually try to resize my screen. Actually, I have two screens up here, so let me do it this way. And then I have this other file that says things you need to know, and I want to go over that first. Definitions. Time value money. First of all, a lump sum is a one-time payment. So for example, if you were to invest $5,000 at one time, that would be a lump sum. If you were to receive $100 one time only, that would be considered a lump sum. I want you to compare this to an annuity, which is a series of payments. So an annuity would be something like you deposited $5,000 every year into an account that was earning so much money. That's what we would call an annuity. It's a series, and it's important that we understand the differences, because if we pop over here, we can see that we're going to be calculating future values of a lump sum and then future values of an annuity. And similarly, we'll do the same thing for present value of a lump sum and present value of an annuity. So let me try to explain this by going to this table right here. Future value of a lump sum sounds like this. If I invest, let me put an example on here. So future value lump sum. I invest $500 or $5,000 today at a rate would be a percent, yield, it's going to be an interest rate, so a rate of 5%. Whenever I give you a rate, it's an annual rate, so you can just assume that. 5% for 5 years. How much will I have at the end of this period? Okay? Future value. How much will I have at the end of this period, out in the future? I'm not asking you for a value today. I want to know what it's going to be worth out in the future. End of this period. Similarly, in the money, it was $5,000 only, one time. It didn't say that it was a $5,000 annuity. So we would know that it's future value of a lump sum. Once we had this information, we could now go over to our table, and we would enter $5,000 at an interest rate of 5% for a period of 5 years. And our answer would be that the $5,000 in 5 years will be worth $6,381. Will grow in value because it's earning interest on an annual basis. Now I'm going to contrast that with future value of an annuity. So the difference here would be, I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to make a few changes. So instead of future value of a lump sum, I want to write a problem that's future value of an annuity. So This says I invest $5,000 instead of today. It says each year at a rate of 5% for 5 years. So all I've changed is the amount of times that the money is invested. This time it's each year, so it's an annuity. I still want to know how much it will be worth at the end of this period. So now I'm going to use this table, and I'm going to put in $5,000 because that's the periodic payment amount. The interest rate is still 5%. Number of annual payments, I said for 5 years. This would be the value it's worth after 5 years, $27,628. Of course, worth considerably more because you're adding more to it each year. Now, there are significant formulas built into these calculators. You don't need to understand the math, but you do need to use the calculators as a tool for your homework and also for your first quiz. Okay, I'm going to go on now and I'm going to talk about this box right down here, present value of a lump sum. That is going to sound, present value lump sum, like this. I need $250,000 for college in 5 years. That's what I need. How much do I need to deposit today? So that, let me give you some rates. Today at 5% to reach my goal. So I've told you that 5 years from now, out in the future, I need $250,000. That's what's known. The question is how much do I need to deposit today or now so that I can reach this goal? Different, okay? I want to know today. Today is present value. So I would go in here, and the first thing it asks me is the future amount. Well, I know the future amount. I need $250,000. The interest rate, 5%. Number of years, 5 years. This is the amount that I would need to deposit today so that I would have that amount in 5 years. All of those, I think, are okay to use. I think you will grasp the concept. This table becomes a bit more tricky. And I'm going to show you how to use this table by talking about retirement. So let's go down here. Present value of an annuity looks something like this. The first question I asked the class when I was in class yesterday was, how much money do you think one needs annually each year during retirement? So if you were to think about that, gross income, how much money do you think you would need a year in retirement, let's say today? So the class threw out a number and they said, oh, I think we'll need $60,000 a year. So that was a number from my other class. That's great. Next question. How many years will you live in retirement? And I think we agreed in class that we would probably live about 30 years. Wow, that's a long time to live in retirement. And I need you to think about that. So if you're going to retire at, let's say, age 60 or 65, and then you're going to need $60,000 a year to cover all your expenses in retirement, and that includes taxes, if you have a car, if you go anywhere, anything you buy, $60,000 a year. And you're going to need that amount for 30 years. So if you can picture this timeline, and the timeline has 30 tick marks on it, and every tick mark is $30,000. So we're looking at, we have 30K in year 1, and then we have, another 60K. 60K year 1, 60K year 2, and so on. So the question that we need to answer is, well, how much money was in our retirement account on the day we retired? So let's say I retired today, and then now this year I'm going to need $60,000, and next year, and so on and so on. How much money do I need to have in my retirement account so that I can take $60,000 out each year for the next 30 years? Well, I don't know. But if we use the present value annuity table, we can figure that out. So let's go over here. Our periodic payment amount, we said, was $60,000. Our annual interest rate, we'll just assume it's 5%. And then we're going to need 30 of those because we're going to live 30 years in retirement. So in order to have that as a plan, we're going to need to have in our account $922,347,000. That's what needs to be in our account on the day we retire so that we can live off this money. Now think about that. What happens if you live 31 years? Are you going to have any money left? Well, you won't if you only plan for that amount of money, because that only covers you for 30 years. So in that last year, you're not going to have any money. The next thing that could happen is, what if you really need $70,000 a year? And you only saved $922,000. Well, if you need $70,000 a year, you're going to need to save up over $1 million so you can cover your expenses. So it's a really good tool to have, and it's something for you to think about. Retirement is not cheap. And who is going to cover your expenses in retirement? So maybe you'll say, well, Social Security is going to cover some of your expenses. And I say, okay, so maybe you receive a Social Security payment of $2,000 a month. Maybe you do. Can you live on $2,000 a month if you have to still drive, still have clothes, still possibly have a mortgage, because most people have a mortgage even after they retire, and you have to pay property insurance? I'm assuming you want to do something. You have all these regular costs, and Social Security, ambitiously at $2,000 a month, is not going to be enough. Plus you still have to pay taxes. So unless you're going to inherit a whole lot of money, you need to start thinking about putting money away so that you can start accumulating enough money to cover you during retirement. I want to go over another problem that's on your worksheet that may cause you some grief. And this problem also involves present value of an annuity, but it's about a choice. So let me give you an example. Choice would sound like this. You won the lottery. Okay? You can take $70,000 today. What's today? This is present value. Or you can take a series of payments of $20K for the next 4 years at 2% interest. Which will you choose? Well, you think about it and you're like, well, you know, $20,000 over the next 4 years, that's $80,000. But I could take this $70,000 and I could vest it today for the next 4 years, and maybe I could make up that difference. But the real answer is that you need to put both of these choices into present value. And the way you would do that is like this. $70,000 is already present value. So you have the present value of $70K, which equals $70K. Or you have the present value of this annuity stream, the $20,000 for 4 years at 2%. So we can go over here to present value of an annuity, and we're going to key in $20,000, that's our periodic payment, at 2% for 4 years. And we're going to see what that series of payments is worth today. How about $20,000? Well, that series of payments today is worth $76,154, which is higher than $70K. So we will take the payments. And just so you know, you also have a book problem that asks you to make a choice. Just remember, your choice is a certain amount of money today, which is already in present value, and then a series of payments, which you need to discount back to present value. Then you compare and you take whichever is higher. That would be the one that is worth more. Okay. Now, I really want you to pay attention to this right here. I'm going to highlight it in red. This is how I think you should go about solving the problems, not only on your homework and the book problems, but also on the quiz that you're going to have next week. So let's see if my solution here will work by going with some, I'm going to drop this down here. I thought I had opened this up, but we'll see. Let me go back into and open up these sample problems. I'm just going to go over a couple of these, but I'm going to try to use the steps that I'm going to explain to you to see if it'll work and help you always come up with the correct answer. Let's drop this down a bit in size. Okay. So here's my steps. This is what I think you should try. You're going to read the problem. Next, you're going to focus on the question, the specific part of the problem that asks you the question, which is normally at the end of the problem. After you do this, I want you to determine if it's present value or future value. The second step is you're going to go to the money, not the interest rate, but you're going to go to the money. And you're going to ask yourself, is this a one-time payment, which is a lump sum, or a series, which is annuity? So let's try it. Let's go over here to problem number 1. It says, suppose that you invest $600 today, interest rate of 9%, and you're going to hold the investment for 5 years. How much will the investment be worth at the end of the period? Well, that's our question right there. That's our focus question. How much will the investment be worth at the end? Well, at the end to me sounds like future value, because I'm asking for a value out in the future. So I'm going to put future value. The next thing it says to do over here is go to the money. Well, here's the money right here. $600. Now, it does say today, but it's not with the money that we determine present value or future value. It's with this question, this focus question. So don't let that confuse you. All you're going to ask here with the money, is this a one-time payment or is this a series of payments? And it only says it's $600 today, so that's one-time payment. So it's going to be future value of a lump sum. Once you've identified the table, then you're just going to go pull up those Excel calculators. You're going to key in the money, the interest rate, and the time, and you're going to put the answer down. And you know future value, the money is going to be higher because we're asking what it's going to be worth in the future. Present value, we're asking what the money is going to, how much money we need today, which is always going to be less than that money that we absolutely need out in the future. So let me do one of those just to make sure you know what to do. Here's one, number 2. Suppose you want to purchase a house in 4 years. You will need to have $15,000 at that time to use as a down payment. If you can purchase a 4-year CD that pays 5%, focus question, how much will you need to invest today? Well, what is today? Today is present value. Because we already know we want this future amount of $15,000. We want to know how much to invest today of present value. Now go to the money. $15,000. Does it say every year? It does not. So it's only a lump sum. Present value of a lump sum. I'm going to do this one. So 15,000, 5% for 4 years. So if I go ahead and I open up my tables right here, present value of a lump sum, well, the future amount I need is 15,000. The interest rate is 5%. Number of years is 4 years. So how much do I need to invest today? $12,340. That's the answer. Skip the cents. I'm not interested in the cents. Just round it to the correct answers. So what I want you to do now is listen to this very carefully and maybe listen to it again and solve all of your, I think there are 8 problems on here. Solve all 8 problems. And then you're going to wait and I'm going to post the answers to these 8 problems. And I'll actually post them on Thursday during our chat session. So you can correct your work and you can ask questions at that time too if you need to. And I hope you do. I want you to be very clear on this because again, this represents your first quiz. Let me drop this right now. I just want to go into week 1 quickly. Back into your homework folder. And I want to again point out that your book problems are right here. Now, this first book problem, it says, using the rule of 72. And your first instinct will be to say, well, I don't know anything about the rule of 72, and I don't recall her talking about that. And you would be right. So what you're going to need to do is look it up on the internet. What is the rule of 72? And you will find out that this calculation is very simple, very powerful, but very simple. And I want you to, again, take the initiative and solve this on your own. This next question right here, somebody wants to buy a house for $120,000. If real estate is expected to increase by 5% each year, what will it be worth 7 years from now? Gosh, that sounds to me like future value. This, a one-time, would be future value of a lump sum. These are self-explanatory and not that difficult. And then these others are very similar to the worksheet that I gave you. This one's a little bit tricky, number 13. But it does tell you to use the present value of an annuity table. So I want to see if you can figure it out before I post the answers. All right, class, I hope this helps you. Please let me know if you have any problems. Of course, you can text me. Remember that I am going to be posting the answers to this on Thursday. Okay, for this one, I'm going to be posting the answers on Thursday, only to the sample problems. It would be a good time for you to do it before Thursday and then check your work. All right, I'll be talking to you soon. Oh, one more note. The economic indicators, I'm going to post the answers to those on Thursday, also in class, after that class has a chance to finish. So if I post the answers now, then they'll have a chance to go look at them, and I'm not quite ready for that. So I just want to give you a heads up that we'll be talking about economic indicators, that in-class assignment that I already asked you to do on Thursday. Okay, I'm signing out. Good night.